Psychic Vampires: How to Be One and Harm None. Have you been diagnosed as manic? Have people told you you're draining them or they get exhausted around you? Have you noticed that you get very amped up or feel great intensity or anxiety in crowds? Do people find you intimidating just being in their presence? Do you go through hibernation and seem to sleep for days, have no energy, or feel depleted and hard to pull out of that depressive space? If this sounds like the cycles and experience of your life, there is hope. Chapter 4. How are you an expert? If you've stayed with me on this journey of discovery thus far, then I'm sure you've noticed I refer to my own experiences a lot. That is because at a young age, before 20 years old, someone called me a psychic vampire. It wasn't in a derogatory way, but more in reference to how I draw energy like a sponge. This comment, however, did get my attention, and I started noticing how I was affected, or the energies around me were being affected. That journey started at a very early age and has continued into my current experiences. Energy is an amazing presence, and I will continue to learn and expand in it while in this current incarnation. Does that really imply I'm an expert? Honestly, no more or less than anyone else that has studied a subject for over 40 years. I can, however, also honestly admit that I do have a great understanding which is meant to be shared, whether it's with those in a new space of understanding that they are responsible for their own energy exchanges, or those that are advanced in energy flow practices. I feel I can offer my own perceptions to assist, clarify, or just put a new spin on the current understandings that are held. Hello, this is Samantha Phoenix. Thank you for listening to Chapter 4, How Are You an Expert? In the Psychic Vampires: How to Be One and Harm None series. So this chapter is short and more of an introduction to Chapter 5. I wrote it though because I wanted people to at least get an idea of where I'm coming from, to get an idea of what put me on this path, before I started going into a more detailed version of my path and where it began. But what really brought me to the point of being what some may consider an expert, I consider knowledgeable, definitely. I don't know that I would call myself an expert because there's always a learning experience to be had, and I am never going to stop expanding in that knowledge. So at what point do we really become an expert? I definitely have a lot of experience and am far from being a novice, a beginner, or even intermediate at this point. So if it has to be labeled, I assume a professional or expert is kind of the category I would fall into at this point. That being said, I was put on this path at a very early age, literally because someone brought it to my attention that I exchanged energy. I absorbed other people's energies in ways that not everyone was aware of. That was around the time I was understanding that I'm also an empath, understanding how certain gifts that I thought everyone had worked, and also finding out that very few people were actually aware of these gifts. So I made a choice at that point to learn more about my abilities and to find knowledge to expand those experiences with my gifts, and have been able to expand my abilities based on working with others, expanding their abilities as well, just by connecting with their energies, learning how they do things, working with their processes, and advancing my own abilities in some way. Not necessarily in the same ways that they are advanced, but in my own ways, and to a point of wherever I'm comfortable in that practice. So ultimately, that is what this chapter is about. I just wanted to give people an idea of what got me started before we went into the actual path that I've taken since I was around 6 years old. That will be upcoming next in Chapter 5, my personal journey into energy manipulation. Thanks again for listening and joining us for Episode 4 of Psychic Vampires: How to Be One and Harm None. As a bonus for this short chapter, we'll be sharing music inspired by the law of attraction to raise our vibration and help us harmonize with what we truly want to create. Please relax and enjoy the music.